Good morning, grinders.
Good morning. I'll consider myself a grinder.
What's up, James?
Man, just getting, oh God. I got so excited I got choked up.
I hate that.
Good morning, Addison.
There it is. There it is. Man, what's going on? I know we got all kinds of crazy things moving around.
Hey, question for you. Do you ever take time for your creative thinking? Like section out time for like, hey, this is something I really need to explore in my business?
So the meditative times, like in the morning.
Okay.
I don't necessarily put it as
Makes sense. So when you do the meditative time, I'm assuming you probably get ideas that fire off like crazy. You think through.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe you also think through maybe a process in your systems there that's kind of sticking, that's not as flowing as well as it needs to, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So then do you ever stop and turn around and dedicate time to actually go back through that and figure it out?
Yeah. Majority of the time, yeah. Because what I like to do is either make notes inside my phone while I'm in the sauna, or I'll piece it out kind of like no music, just driving, and just process it as a thought, on the way into the office or whatever. And then once I get in, I've got my little my iPad with the pencil, and I kind of go to town making some notes, processing the thought, like how can I make this flow? And usually that's either that or a good whiteboard usually does it for me.
I do love my whiteboard, man. I like to kind of, see how things flow through, plot it out, just gets it out of my head and gets a visual for me. Do you ever have trouble taking that from, okay, I think this might be an issue, and then you kind of process through it, run through it, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely an issue, and you kind of write out, okay, maybe I need to look into this piece or this piece, right? A, B, and C. Do you have issues taking that from the thought process or the realization of the problem to actually execution on fixing the problem, or just making it better?
No, usually, I usually don't have that issue. Once I kind of get it put out, it's from that moment, it's implementation time.
Okay.
And that's usually just, telling a few people to do a few different things or enacting something mandatory by myself. When it comes to the business, usually it's fairly easy to kind of corral the cats, and get everything into place. The hard part that I run into is the daily implementation. I'm actually going through it at the moment of number of calls per agent, and it seems like we are having a hard time catching the number that we need to catch for each individual person. And that to me is it's the implementation outside of myself, right?
Yeah. So when it's internal, it's just you have no issues executing on it. When it comes to the team, it's more complicated.
Yeah, it's just getting people to do things that they're not used to doing.
Yeah. And I think that's natural, and that I 100% agree with. It's much easier to say, okay, I need X, Y, and Z to change, and then if I'm the only person affecting changing X, Y, and Z, right?
Right.
So I will tell you, I've been really on this path of to-do items, disciplined in that, and I'm crushing that. But I've noticed because I'm such a creature of habit, I keep going back to, okay, the same. And I'm so focused on completing the task at hand, I'm not thinking about what things could potentially flow better, or I haven't been paying attention to them as much, right? So just kind of really got me on that thought today. I'm feeling really good because yesterday I put it on the to-do list. I carved out time. I got it on the calendar. I brought in my team that would involve. I brought lunch in. We sat down, worked through the problem, figured out how we can make it flow better. And we took something that would normally take me a lot longer time just because I needed to process it and see how I feel about it. And just said, okay, What's the issues? Okay. We don't have all the answers, but what do we do have answers for? Where can we clean this? Okay. Rough draft it, cleaned it up. We need to cut time. We need to get more done in the same amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? Okay. What pieces of training? What pieces of flow? What pieces that are sticking? Cleaned up a lot of the mess, made the process much smoother. And in 3 hours, I did something that if you'd asked me if we're implementing it now, we worked on it 3 hours yesterday, made changes. We'll definitely make some future changes, but we didn't stay stagnant on that because we didn't have every answer. And if you'd asked me a month ago, I'd have probably said, I probably need to hire another person. Don't need that now. I engaged the people who do the work every day. They gave feedback. They're going to take the new thing we just put in. They're going to go try it, give feedback based off of that, and flow with it. So what's my point? Okay, I'm bragging about a win I had yesterday, which I got no problem bragging on this thing when I have wins. And if you're listening to this, you should be fucking bragging when you have an opportunity to do it. Like you feel good about it, right? Don't keep the secret from your damn self.
Yeah.
And make sure you're taking time to do those things. Like you need to carve out time where if you go, okay, this is a problem. If you're going to go have an appointment with somebody, you'd put it on the calendar. You'd mark it down because you can't miss it because somebody else is involved.
Right.
Give yourself the same respect. Like put it on the calendar, hold a time, section everything off, however you got to fit it, and then spend time fixing that process or that procedure or that little issue. And no, you're not going to have 100% of the answer, but shit, maybe you get 70% of it. And that's 70% better.
Yeah.
So, man, I did that yesterday and I realized how many times I just sit there and overthink or go, yeah, that's a problem. We'll add it to the list of problems. No, it's a problem. Put it on the calendar. Put it on the to-do list. And now there's section time for it where we're going to focus on it. We're going to make some adjustments as far as we think we can. We're going to execute and see what it does and then report back.
Yep. Well, and there's a big piece to that, to bringing people together that are actually in the process of doing the things that you need, that need to be done, and actually getting the feedback from the people who are doing the work.
Yeah.
When you're a sole proprietor and you're the only one that is in the shit, you put something on the task board, you complete it, and that thing gets resolved and you move forward. As you bring other people onto your world, you've got to get feedback from the people who are doing the work now, right? Because you're not intuitively in the shit. And so that's a big point. That's a really big point, is being able to bring the people together, right? Put the meeting of the minds together and figure out what solutions can come from the problems.
Yeah.
And that you're going to get, I feel like every time that we do that, like we did that on Monday, and we implemented things that I kind of had in my mind of what we needed to do. And that's accountability measures for certain things. And so we created an accountability process, right? The things that you expect, you inspect. And so we just implemented that exact thing. And so on your end, you brought the people in, say, hey, these are the problems that we're having. What are the solutions that we can come up with? And then bam, right? And you now have a process of elimination. You have a process of growth, and everybody who is doing the work is involved in solving the problem, which then they become involved in the entire thing.
Yep.
It's their ideas that are helping resolve the solution or resolving the problem.
Yep. And then it's driving that ownership mentality from them.
Exactly. Yep. So, I mean, but that whole process there is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. If you don't teach people to engage on not just how something works, but why it works that way, you can't expect them to think about it the way you do.
Yeah.
They'll never probably think about it the way you truly do, which is okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of, to a certain extent, that's probably nature of the beast. Unless that person's hired to go, all I do all day is think about the process and why it works that way. Why does our operations do this? Why? So outside of that, if you got somebody executing on what the operations expects, that's what they're going to do. They're going to follow that flow, rightfully so. But you have to train that in through opportunities, through talking through that, through problem solving. And I think a lot of times I'm a good example of that compared to you. You talk about every time there's a problem come up, you just go, what do you think we should do? And usually, unless it's something just insane, even if you think you have a better answer, most of the time you just say, yeah, we should do that. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't. This stuff is constantly on my mind because I love it. And I've been doing it 20 years. So I'm always constantly thinking about it, how it can work better, how it should improve, all that. So a lot of times when somebody brings me a problem, I feel like I have the answer for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do that as well. And then I have to stop myself because it goes back to the learned or the old dog, new tricks type situation, right? Mm-hmm. My whole process of growth was based off the book Extreme Ownership. Like everything that I know was built from either having conversations with you, having conversations with Morgans, having conversations with people ahead of me. But everything that I've learned personally for my growth was from Extreme Ownership or the Field Manual or whatever, because that's the only context that I had. Actually, hang on. And then the other book was Leadership Strategies and Tactics from Jocko. That one, basically, it's an explained process of you're having this problem with a subordinate or whoever. These are the solutions that you come with. This is the actual play-by-play to break down that situation. Mm-hmm. And that is something that's what I learned because I didn't know anything. And so that growth, I feel like, did create some sort of a learning curve. Yeah. And I think the processing of the difference between those two, of like, you come from actual experience and actual knowledge of how you do things. I'm over here like I had nothing, and I didn't have the full experience of ownership and owning a company and going through the process of hiring, whereas you did, and that's why I learned a lot from you on that aspect. And I think that whole process there is just something that you learn from what you're doing, right? You learn from the experiences of what worked, what didn't work, and you're playing those things back together. And that's how you come to the conclusion of those things. But I think there's room for both.
Yeah, I agree. So, you say that, but that's trickle down as well, right? Mm-hmm. If there's usually two scenarios when I have a problem. It's usually something that's pretty black and white. Like, hey, we need to review our PTO guidelines. Okay. Well, or this has happened, and it's either a yes or no. All right. Something I haven't dealt with yet, I'm probably going to go to somebody who's got more experience to me and see, or somebody I know who's already dealt with it. Yeah. How'd you handle it? I'm going to take what I like and then implement it. When, for example, though, like yesterday, we were working through our commercial renewal process. So it's a huge part of the workload. It's something we're constantly trying to streamline and make smoother for our clients, like their experience with us, your business clients. Like you need top to bottom reviews every single renewal. And it's more of our concierge service. Well, with that, I wanted to go more off of, what do I want it to look like? I'm a client as well. I own businesses. I have insurance for those things. What would I like to see? Yeah. Right? So I'm not like anybody else. I mean, I don't look at my commercial insurance, so I got my renewal. The only difference is my company's the one who's got to look back at it for me. So I just got my renewal in, mean, literally, it's sitting on my desk right now for one of my businesses, and my rate went up considerably. So I need to find out what's going on. I don't even know yet. I don't even know why. I got to look at it. But so to that one's not something I always go directly to somebody who has more experience, even in my industry. I go, I have the understanding of our process. I know this company better than anyone. What do I think is holding it up? And what do I think can change? And why do I want it to change? Like, what does it serve? Like, how do I want the customer to have this experience? What do I think that customer wants to experience, right? And what's my analytics behind it that's telling me what's going on and how we're doing with it and all that. So like that was something I just want to go internal and I want to tear it apart and build my own custom thing, you know? So it's important to know, what's the point I'm getting to on that? It's important to know when it's one of those two options. Don't custom build everything that doesn't need to be custom built.
No.
You know? Mm-hmm. So, my playbook that we live by day to day in this company that literally tells anybody in any position how we do something. It's a complete guide to how this business runs. That's custom built. I did not copy that from someone. Tried that once, didn't use it. If I gave it to you, you wouldn't use it. If you're an insurance agent listening to this, if I just gave it to you, you wouldn't use it. It's pointless. Something you got to build. It's got to be your identity. Now, my handbook, my HR handbook, completely copied.
Yeah.
Made a few changes. What do we want to do for this kind of sick leave or this or that, right? A few adjustments. What is our dress code, right? A couple of simple things. That though, that's a copy and paste. I didn't need to invent that from scratch. Why? Because it's pretty standard procedure stuff. Make a few adjustments, add a little flair on it where you need to. But like, don't think through the whole thing if it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
Don't waste that kind of energy. So know when you need to choose which is really the point.
Right. And, you know, going back to the beginning of the conversation there, you know, understanding who your client is, building out, like we call it building Bob, right? Understand.
Did you say building Bob?
Yeah, building Bob. So legit, you take a Sharpie, you make a person, right? A little stick person on a whiteboard, right? This is your client. His name is client, right? Bob the client. And then you piece together everything that Bob needs, right? All the needs that he has. Who is your ideal person that you sell to, that you talk to, that, you know, everybody starts having some sort of connection between the people that you deal with on a regular basis. Like, who is your client base? Well, you know, if you're whatever, if you're Bob's person, right? It's a first-time home buyer. It's this. Okay, well, what does Bob need from me? Well, he needs this. Okay, so what is the connection between all of those things? Right. And then this gives you a really good concept of how you need to proceed when you meet Bob. Right. And then you can start building out Susie and you build her out. And you know, you start understanding the connections of like top level processes of, okay, well, I need to be punctual. I need to do and then also how you talk to these people. Right, because not everybody needs the same conversation, but that's something that we do. You know, as far as like when you first get here, you start learning who your Bob is.
Yeah,
and then from there, you know, you can start, you know, understanding what that person needs and how to deal with that person, and then moving further in that conversation. You know, not everything needs to be like that. Right, you talk about your HR handbook. You know, don't do certain things. You can take that, implement it, and it's something that is usable, right?
Yeah.
Don't do this, do this, don't do this, do this, right? You want time off, this is the process of taking time off. But when it comes to, you know, your actual business, there's a reason why not every business succeeds. Right? You can't always copy and paste.
Yeah.
On the things that actually matter. There's a reason why James Chapman is who James Chapman is, and why Osmond Chapman.
Yeah.
Osmond Chapman Insurance Group. I messed that up. I botched that.
You botched it bad. It's okay.
Osmond Chapman Insurance. There's a reason why the mold is there, and then you can go out and buy a company, put this on top of it, and now it's molded into you.
Yeah.
This is the process of doing so.
Yeah.
That's called experience. That's called time. That's called effort. That's called blood, sweat, and tears of growing a company. And then being able to pass that little book, that playbook, and pass it down to somebody who comes into the team. And then you are now part of Osmond Chapman Insurance, right? Yeah. You're not part of blank and blank insurance.
Right. I completely agree. So, there's so many offshoots we could get into from that, talking about like building out your client, also understanding what your, okay, you got the demographics of your clients, do the demographics of where you do business, meet that client, right? Or just the need from the clients in your area. So, God, there's so much there, but I mean, you're 100% right. If I was just going to mimic my company to a different one, is there similarities between my insurance agency and, the 100 that are within a 25-mile radius?
Yeah.
Sure. Of course there is. But I'm continuing working to go, are we identifying as who we are? And if it should set us apart.
Yeah.
Right. So if I was just going to mimic and copycat everything, why even waste the time and energy? Just go to work from somebody and be an all-star at their place. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if you think you're going to do exactly the same as a big competition down the street, I mean, a good example is like, God, this is Georgia. We are ate up with the Dollar General stores, ate up with them. But, from what I understand, one of the best places for like a Dollar General store to be is being near the anchor store of a Walmart. They're not Walmart 2.0. They're different, right? So maybe not a lot of difference, but they're different. And apparently that helps them tremendously being close to a Walmart. Don't really know why, but it does. I don't know all the information behind it, but from my understanding, it's really good for them to be close to a Walmart. Yeah. Just think about if you wanted to grab something quick and you wanted the low price option. But I don't know about you. I fucking hate going inside a Walmart.
Yep.
I hate it. Now, I only go there when I have to, never because I want to. So if I need to go in and grab 2 items and there's in the same shopping center, there's a Walmart and a dollar store, and they both carry it, what's the chance you just going to the dollar store? Yeah. So, making sure that you're continuing to make the company your own and specialize in it where you should. And so you can double down on that. Don't waste time in the areas you shouldn't.
That's right.
Trying to build something custom when it doesn't need to be custom.
Yeah. There's a lot to that.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot to that.
We threw a lot of information out really, really fast that covered more probably than we wanted to, and could have went even deeper. But I mean, that's just a quick takeaway of where my mind's at. And, something I want you to continue to try to focus on as you build stuff. You got to focus on 1,000 things, make it 1,001.
No, guaranteed. What's another one?
What's another one? That's right.
All right, guys.
I took that as you were asking me for something else just now. I was like, damn, didn't I just give enough, bro? Like, take what I just gave you. I don't have anything else on my mind today.
That's it. Guys, we appreciate you so much listening, jumping on, always wanting to hear our beautiful voices. and get a little bit of something out of it. And we hope you do. That's the reason why we do it. It allows us to do this because, one, it's cheaper than therapy. Two, I don't necessarily want to go at this point. And it also allows us to break down our problems on a out of the frame mindset, and then we can bounce things back and forth. But between that conversation, we hope that you receive some sort of information that you can apply in your daily life, right? And the things with business, they can also be used in your personal life. And so everything that we did talk about right there, you can also take that and implement it and change it a little bit and make it into something that you do on a regular basis with your spouse or, with your company. And I think that's one of the cool thing about business that I don't think a lot of people see, because it can be one of those things that you can make transferable. But with all that being said, we appreciate you. Do not forget to check out our sponsors, Jocko Fuel and Origin USA. And when you get to checkout, put in the code GRIND1010, and that's GRIND10 at checkout. Save yourself 10% off and go get you something nice. You deserve it. You do, and you do. So go ahead and pop over there. Also, we have a few other links in there. One link that I've been noticing that has been working for a lot of people is Whoop. Not necessarily sponsored by them, but I do use Whoop, and it seems that a lot of other people are starting to go to our link in our description and use it. So you do get 1 month free for using the link, and also that is something that will help you keep track of your sleep and all this other cool stuff, your expensed energy, as well as all this other good stuff. So many things that it does help with. And I love seeing it because then I know I can max out my day accordingly. So with all that being said, guys, thank you. We appreciate you. James?
Question on so I'm still a Fitbit guy. Do I need to convert over?
Oh, for sure, dude.
I'm missing the boat.
That's not enough information.
Yeah.
It's not. And my whole concept with the Whoop is I want to wear it for probably a year or two. So I bought it last year, and I'm coming up on my 12 months, and I think I'm going to renew for another 12 months. But it has allowed me to edit a lot of things in my nighttime routine to make sure I maximize my sleep, because I can go down to the actual detail of what I did the last day. And because there's like a little journal that you kind of put in like check mark boxes. And you can pick out, it'll take a ranking of everything that you do and what affects your sleep and what affects your recovery and what affects, all of these things. And it'll actually do a printout for you on the end of the month and say, this was beneficial, this was not beneficial, and for me, I edited a lot of things that it was telling me to fix. Dude, my recovery, without a doubt, has maxed out.
Cool.
I'm getting a lot better sleep, getting a lot better workouts in, and I'm getting a lot better recovery based off of the things. So, and a lot of the things that I thought was helping me sleep at night, get better sleep and get better recovery, actually wasn't helping me at all.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool.
That's what I would say. Definitely do it. There's a link in the description here that you can go and click on Whoop and get you a cool band. They have all kinds of different colors and cool stuff that you can do. And I think that the band is free. So I think you get the Whoop for free once you sign up, but you also get a free month in there. So
nice.
Yeah, so you can decide whether or not you want to move forward after that last month.
Cool.
Yep. So with all that being said, guys, appreciate you. James?
Grinder out.